You want to talk about a brand with lineage in the audio business, a pedigree that is pretty hard to argue when it comes to being one of the most recognized brands in our industry. Of course, I'm talking about JBL and more specifically, JBL Car Audio. Today, we've got their product specialist, Leigh Powell, in the studio with us, and we're going to break it down why you should become a JBL dealer yourself. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM, all about JBL, and it starts now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and on the menu today is three letters that mean so much. Yes, we're talking about that orange square, JBL, one of the most iconic brands in audio. In fact, it's hard to argue that their implementation within the audio business is far-reaching and worldwide and has spanned decades. And yes, they make some incredible equipment for car audio as well, and that's a fantastic thing to have a brand, and Harman, who's behind JBL, supporting our industry. Now, as mentioned, we've got our specialist, Leigh Powell, that's joining us today to kind of give us the details and break it down for us and what we need to understand. So, Leigh, first question I have for you is, what are we going to be covering today on today's session?
Absolutely, Ben. Today we're going to be talking about speakers, some amplifiers, subwoofers, and some very unique subwoofer solution products that I think everybody's going to be excited about.
This sounds super exciting, Leigh. Can't wait to get into it. But first, we're going to give an opportunity to our partner, SiriusXM, to remind you dealers out there why you should love it. And when we come back, I got Leigh Powell, and we're talking JBL.
Hey guys, Ricky Lima here from SiriusXM. I had a chance to speak to some dealers and ask them what they love about selling SiriusXM. Here's what they had to say.
Coast-to-coast coverage.
I love SiriusXM for commercial-free music.
It's a great add-on sale and a profit opportunity.
We love selling SiriusXM because you can listen to the same channel coast to coast.
Profitability and ease of installation. It's a no-brainer.
We love selling SiriusXM for its ease of installation, great profitability, and reliability. People love it.
All right, let's get into it. Leigh, first question out of the gate is really what I want to do is just kind of establish, for those who don't know, the actual footprint and history that JBL has within the audio business at large.
Well, Ben, that's great that you bring that up, and that's a story that we try to tell every time we meet with customers. But we certainly have something for you that may tell the story a little bit better to help customers understand the JBL legacy.
Let me tell you about a legend in sound. I'm talking about a real dance-crazing, room-shaking, volume-raising, certified legend that goes by the name of JBL. JBL's been off the charts for over 75 years, creating the world's most unforgettable moments in sound. I mean, they were live at Woodstock in front of 400,000 fans and the 400 shotgun weddings that followed. From innovating the way sound was brought to movies, to revolutionizing sound in gaming, this audio icon has done it all. No venue is too big or too small. They built the Grateful Dead's epic wall of sound with 600 speakers and sold-out stadiums worldwide, all while keeping Sophia's 14th birthday party from being rained out. They're even the sound of the Grammys every single year, and have won one themselves. JBL's been a legend in sound for over 75 years, collaborating with artists all around the world and amplifying the voices that really need to be heard. There's only one JBL, off the charts for 75 years, and still counting.
Really amazing to see some of those iconic images of characters and personalities that everybody's aware of, and all the events. I mean, it's pretty hard to argue. So let's get into it. Let's connect the dots for the dealers tuning in. And I suppose a great place to start is the speaker. So from what I understand, JBL has a current offering and selection of different series speakers. So why don't you break it down for us on the different series and what are some of the characteristics that set each one apart?
All right. to make it real simple for you guys, we have 3 series of speakers that we consider a good, better, and a best. And what I'm going to start with today is the best. And the best would be our Stadium series speakers. One thing that makes our speakers unique, I'm going to start off with that, is we have some technologies that other manufacturers don't have. So one of the features is called true 4 ohm. So what we do is we start the impedance of our speakers a little bit less than 4 ohm. So by the time the voice coils heat up, they will rest at 4 ohm. Now, Stadium speakers are 2.5 ohm, which is great because 2.5 ohm allows you to get the amplifier into dynamic mode. It allows you to do 2 ohm replacement in some of those 2 ohm audio systems that are out there in vehicles. And it's a nice cheat for your board because they jump off your board louder than anything else. But another thing is we do edge-driven tweeters. So edge-driven tweeters mean we take the voice coil all the way out to the edge of the tweeter. So the tweeter is larger, it plays lower, in which by playing lower, it complements the actual driver by playing lower. And the last thing that we have is called +1 technology. And what +1 technology is, Harman actually takes their surround out to the edge of their frames, and which gives them a substantial larger cone area than any of our competitors out there. Why does that matter? Because it gives you more bass response and it gives you better power handling. So in the line, we have all of your normal coaxials, 5 1/4, 6 1/2, all the way up to 6x9 components. Our coaxials have ratcheting tweeters, which they click into place. We also have the tweeter attenuators on the front where you can 0 it or less 3 dB if it's too bright for you. But one of the great things I wanted to show you that's really unique to us is our component upgrade to a 3-way system. So we currently offer the 6 1/2 component, a 6x9 component, and a 6x8 component. You have a 3-inch mid, or you have a 2.5-inch dome mid that are sold separately. And what comes with these mids are bandpass crossovers, which is nice. The bandpass crossovers have pigtails in the box where you plug in the pigtail to the bandpass crossover that'll go to the mid, and then it plugs into, it plugs into the 2-way crossover for any of your components. And then on the 2-way crossover is a switch from 2-way to 3-way. Then you just flip the switch and both crossovers are reconfigured together to give you your 3-way frequency response for the mid, tweet, and driver, which is an awesome way to upgrade any customer to a 3-way by not stocking a 3-way. Last thing I'll tell you about these is we make these in a composite basket, so you don't have any resonating noise coming off the basket, which makes these things fantastic. So if you're considering looking at JBL, the Stadium is a must-have.
Wow, Lee, I gotta say, you're kicking it off strong with those Stadium speakers because I gotta say, you mentioned engineering from the get-go. That crossover system by which you could switch it from the 2-way to the 3-way and how they all interconnect, that's engineering, might I say. All right, so as we look at the Stadium speakers, obviously you can tell by the build, the composite baskets, and everything else, these are a premium. But if we step it down to that better option, I'd like to see what the Club series has to offer.
All right, so now we're going to dig into the Club, which is going to be on our better in the middle of the row. And I want to tell you about Club because Club is a unique line. So what we did when I tell you we all collaborate between departments in Harman is we got our OE division to give us fitment information for 14,000 vehicles to know what the depth is and the size is on all the vehicles that we do OEM systems for. And we took that data and we designed the Club series to fit 96% of every vehicle that's on the market. And the other 4% are European cars that is trial and error anyway. And you guys know how that is. But So what we did, we designed the shallow baskets and the smaller motor structure to be able to fit those vehicles. So if you had a customer come in and fitment was an issue, the club line's perfect for you. But then we had customers that were selling the club line, and they're like, hey, I've got a 6.5-inch customer, but fitment's not an issue. So what can you do for us there? So what we decided to do was bring in a different 6.5 that's full size within the shallow line of club. So within club, there's all shallow and then one full size 6.5 in there for that customer that fitment's not an issue. We do angle the tweeters on all of them. They don't ratchet. They're already pre-angled. So when you install them in the door, you can determine where you want the tweeter to fire. And then we also do offer the tweeter attenuator on the front of these as well. And then in staying within club, then we had customers say, well, hey, I'm a club dealer and I'm a stadium dealer, but your price point between your stadium 6.5 and your club 6.5 is huge. So can we break that bridge? And so we decided we would break the bridge by bringing in Club SQ. So Club SQ is a 6.5 step up above your regular club, where you get the carbon fiber cone, you get the composite basket, you get the tweeter attenuator. Tweeter is stationary, but this thing sounds unbelievable, and it's at a price point that's in between your club 6.5 and your stadium. So we offer this in a 6.5 and a 6.5 component in the SQ series, and club has everything from a 3.5 all the way up to the 6x9 components. So if you feel that club fits your business, we'd love to have it.
All right, Lee. So we covered the top of the line stadium and then the incredible performance. I think performance meets value with the club series. But for those quick and snappy OEM swaps, entry level, maybe first time customers wanting that JBL brand and performance, but at a price point, let's talk a little bit about the Stage series.
So when talking about stage speakers, some people say, I need an entry level. I need entry level. Well, we don't consider Stage being entry level at all, because it still shares the same technology as club and stadium. It still has the +1 technology on the cones. It still has the true 4-ohm, and it still has the edge-driven tweeters. And we offer a wide variety of sizes in the Stage line. The Stage line, to what Ben said earlier, is great for OEM swap outs, because with true 4-ohm, you're really not increasing your impedance when the voice coil gets hot. So the customers are not going to say, oh, it sounds better, but I lost volume as I turned, than what I had in there before. So, the Stage line is a great price point driven line. It's there for those customers that, are just locked in on those price points, and it's a super quality products, and hope you consider making the Stage line part of your arsenal.
All right, moving quickly to our next category, Lee. Let's get into some power. Let's talk about some amplifiers. I believe we want to start with a brand new redesigned series in the club amplifiers. Tell us all about them.
All right, club amplifiers, something I'm super excited about. So on our previous model club amplifiers, we were asked to do a lot of things on the new when we decided to make a running change. So on the new club amplifiers, we made all the changes that everybody requested, and they're absolutely gorgeous. Everybody asked us to do all the connections on one side. Done. They asked us to put the remote bass control knob in the box with it. Done. They asked us, is there any way you can hide the controls so customers can't get to them? Done. So what this is a piano black beauty ring. And I'm going to hold it back up. I just want to get the beauty ring off first. But it's a beauty ring that snaps onto the front, and then you remove the beauty ring, and then the plate slides down. And then all of your controls for the amplifier are underneath the plate. The other thing is the JBL logo, we leave it loose in the box because depending on your install, maybe you want to mount it this way, or maybe you want the amp to sit a different way and you want to mount it that way. So it just gives you versatility of which way the amplifier is going to go in the vehicle. So we leave that separate in the box. Great thing about these amplifiers is some of the technology that's built in. So 15 volts of input, high level. And the neat thing about Harman or JBL and all of our high level is we use a bare wire to RCA adapter for our high level inputs. So it's super simple and they all come in the box. 15 volts of input. These amplifiers love 10 to 15 volts. They will actually come to life when you do that. The other cool feature, all your crossovers are built in. This happens to be a 5-channel amplifier. So you're 75 by 4 and 500 by 1. We have a 4-channel by 75, a 600 watt mono block, and a 1000 watt mono block. But the cool thing about these amplifiers is they have low level input, high level input, and load sensing. So there's a load switch on here. So if one of your vehicles needs to see a fake load to a factory radio to get a signal, this will provide that for you. Now, I'm not going to tell you that every resistance is built into these because these are software updatable, but the majority of them are in here. And all you have to do is just put it into load mode and it'll automatically search for the right resistance and get you a signal. But the last thing I'll tell you about is our 1000 watt amplifier, which is awesome. They are strappable. Anybody remembers that old school? So you've got a primary and secondary switch on those amplifiers. So if you want to tie two of the 1000 watt amplifiers together, you put one on primary, one on secondary. You set all your settings on the first one. It sends the data out of the 1000 watt into the second amplifier, which then becomes a dummy amp. And it's reading all of the data from the first amp to the second amp. So it's pretty cool. You don't have to sit there and adjust both amps and make sure you got them dead on or put a meter or anything. It all does it by strapping them together. I hope you like the club amplifiers. The 600 watt is super strong. It's one of our leading leaders in that series, and hope you consider bringing in JBL club amps.
You know, sometimes it's all those little design details that make all the difference. So I got to commend once again the team that developed this, whether it was the logo that's interchangeable as far as position, as well as that little high level adapter, just those little touches for me make a difference. Now, moving on to another series of amplifiers that maybe you know about, maybe you don't, but according to Lee, could be a real solution piece for you guys. And it happens to be a multi-channel small footprint DSP amplifier.
Okay, guys, we're going to talk about one of my favorites, which is the JBL DSP 4086. If you're not familiar with this one, you need to be, because this is an 8-channel DSP amplifier, 40 watts by 8 or into 4 ohm, or 60 watts by 8 into 2 ohm. It's a non-bridgeable amp, but it was designed to be a price point, to hit a certain price point, and we feel like we did that. It does come with the bass control knob, and it does have a dedicated sub out, or you can make any of the channels your subwoofer channel if you want to. The neat thing about this amp also is it's a small footprint. It sums internally, and it's great to add on to any of your factory audio systems as an audio upgrade. Change the speakers, add a DSP, and add a subwoofer and upgrade somebody's factory head unit. A lot of people doing these in Toyota, especially the Tundras and the Tacomas. The other application for this is that BMW or Mercedes that comes in with a soaking wet amp in the trunk. This is a fantastic replacement for that vehicle. It will be your savior for that. The other thing with this that a lot of people don't consider, and especially with our club amplifiers, is use this as a line driver. I'm using this as a line driver. I have no floor noise. I have no hiss. I'm running high level out of a factory head unit, amplified signal out of this at 15 volts into my club amplifiers. And that's my DSP. And it sounds absolutely fantastic. But I really think you need to get one of these in and give it a shot, and I'm sure that it will fit nicely within your lineup and solve a lot of your issues that you have trying to fill the spot.
So now we're going to move on from amplifiers to what I feel is the most fun because we love bass. This is why we love car audio. Now, I don't need to remind you of that. But when it comes to subwoofers, JBL's got you covered with quite a few different options, starting with their top of the line and, might I say, very beefy stadium collection.
All right, guys, let's talk about stadium subwoofers and subwoofers in general. So I'm going to start off first by telling you about the technologies that Harman puts into the majority of their subwoofers. So one of the biggest things is our SSI technology. Well, what is that? SSI technology is where we put 3 6-ohm voice coils in our subwoofers in a couple of our series, and it gives you the ability to do a 2-ohm or 4-ohm through a selectable switch. Now, this is unique to JBL, and how this benefits you is the customer comes in, buys a single sub, and gets used to it. Now he wants to go with 2 subs. Comes back in, you sell him this same exact sub, you flip them both onto 4-ohm, you parallel, you're at 2-ohm, and it's golden, and he's out the door. It also cuts down on your inventory. So you don't have to stock a DVC this, a DVC that, and the guy comes in with a single sub, and now he wants to go 2, and then you got a U sub because you can't match it up impedance-wise with another sub, and it just gets crazy. So now you just stock an 8, 10, and a 12 in the stadium, and you're covered whether you're doing 1 or 2 subs. Another unique feature that we do in this particular series of subs is called aero cooling. And what aero cooling is, it kind of goes back to that how we all collaborate together. So the JBL Pro division in concert speakers, which you listen to when you go to concerts, they use it's sort of like a fan on the former of the sub, of the cone. And what this has is a twisted fan type blade that's on the former. So when the sub moves in and out, it sucks air in around the spider. There's inlet holes, and then it has vent holes on the bottom that direct all of the air out. So this is forced air to the voice coil. Instead of taking a regular subwoofer that's you open up the basket to where it can breathe, we're doing forced air on this. And this is what the Pro division uses on concerts. So that's why they stay up there so long. They last so long. But these are dynamite subs, 450 watts RMS, super efficient, 2 or 4 ohm selectable, push terminals, carbon fiber cone, beauty ring to hide all your screws. In stock now, 1812.
You know, I have to comment here, Lee. Whenever you're presenting this stadium line, looks incredibly crisp and high end with high end cosmetic features, and it really throws me off as far as what that price point should be at. So again, a really nice job on the design. But our next series that we're going to be touching on is in fact a brand new revamp series in the club series of subwoofers. I'm excited to hear about all the new features.
Okay, guys, if you're all familiar with the old club subwoofers, well, let's welcome in the new club. So this is a complete redesign on the new clubs. We've gone with the full flat face cone with the ghosted in JBL horn. We still are utilizing the 2 or 4 ohm selectable impedance. We've gone the push terminals, which we have not had before. We did a larger motor structure on the new clubs, and we made the baskets smaller. So these should work out really well for us. We are actually going to have these in preloaded enclosures, singles and duals, and they are on the way. And these are available in a 10-inch and a 12-inch, and they will be available next month. So we are super excited. 250 watt RMS, 1,000 watts peak. This will be your workhorse line. We're just so stoked about this new series.
Very nice redesign on that new club series. I do like that ghosted logo and the whole look of it. It looks very high end. Again, for a mid price point woofer, very aesthetically appealing. Now, staying on the track of bass and subwoofers, another thing that JBL has really kind of found a place for is unique subwoofer solutions. And what I mean by that, well, let me get Lee to explain it to you with our first product we're going to present here called the Fuse.
All right, let's talk about my personal favorite, which is the JBL Fuse. But before I get into this, I kind of want to set the tone for this particular piece. If you think about it, when I talked earlier about Harman as a whole and all the OE relationships that we have, our real estate to make bass in these factory systems has gone from giant, the whole side panel of a car down to nothing. So Harman specializes in small enclosure technology. So JBL, we decided we wanted to bring that small enclosure technology over for a solution-based product with JBL. This is it. So this particular piece is unique to the industry. It has an 8-inch high output subwoofer and a passive radiator on both sides. And the reason it's called a fuse is because they are fused together. But what's very unique about this piece is if you pull the grill off, you can separate these and you can see how thin they are by the seam in the middle. You can separate these into two different subwoofers. Don't underestimate the size of the enclosure for the amount of output that these have. You basically have your connections on one side where you can jump them from one side to the other. They're 4 ohm on each side, so you can parallel them down to 2 ohm. The feet are removable on the bottom, so those come off. Sturdy metal grills, nice piano black. I personally have 4 fuses in my F-150 split, so I have 8 8s in an F-150, and I'm sure some of you watching this have seen that posted on Facebook or social media. But this thing is great. It drops in the back of Toyota Tacomas, Toyota Tundras, under the seat solutions, coupes, Porsche, anything that you're limited on space, the JBL Fuse is the solution for you.
Now, the next item is certainly a unique one at that, and an award-winning one. We did get a chance to cover it in a previous episode, but really important to be in this category because it is, in fact, a subwoofer solution.
Okay, let's talk about the Bass Pro Go. I know most of you have already heard about this unique piece, but I want to touch on it myself. This is a fantastic solution for the customer that comes in who's missing something. And normally, I was in retail for years, and normally when a customer comes in and says, my system doesn't sound right, we always think about bass. Well, you don't have any bass. Let's go to the trunk. This particular piece, 3 years in development, this is a portable radio that you can take with you anywhere you want to go. And when you dock it inside your car and you plug it into the Molex plug, which, by the way, wires up just like a standard amplifier. Excuse the mess on this one because I've demoed it before. But you have RCA input, power, ground, remote turn on, and your bass control knob comes with it, all to a Molex plug. When you plug the Molex plug into the back of this unit, it turns off all your full range speakers and becomes a subwoofer only. Well, you're probably going to say, well, how is that teeny tiny little subwoofer in there going to do anything? Well, we developed a 5 1/4 inch sub that plays down to 27 hertz, and we've also got 2 passive radiators. You have to hear it. And to convince you that it is all of that, I'd like for you to go to YouTube and type in 5-star car stereo and watch Dean and Fernando's video on this piece when they unbox it and install it, and their reaction on their face when they heard it. It's a unique customer, and you qualify your customer. Do they tailgate? Do they, sit in the cul-de-sac? Do they go to the beach? Do they go to the pool? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Dock it in the back of the car. Buy the second car kit. Have 2 vehicles within the family pre-wired so this can go car to car. We also have the home charger for this where they can do it in the car. And recent success with this has been golf carts and ATVs because this is completely waterproof, so you can put it in the back of an ATV and have it as a sub solution. And if you want to have it play full range while it's docked and plugged in, that option is there too. So you can take it out of subwoofer mode and have it play full range while she's docked and charging. It's an awesome piece. You put it on your showroom floor, you have it plugged in, customers come in, and it starts the conversation. So unique piece, nothing like it in the industry. Go earn yourself some new business.
And to round out these very unique subwoofer solutions from JBL, we've got one more to show you, which uses a space kind of in an ingenious way, and it's called the Bass Pro Hub.
All right, let's talk about the Bass Pro Hub. As you can see here, the Bass Pro Hub is designed to go into a spare tire well. So you take the factory spare tire and you flip it over, and it works from a 15 to a 17-inch spare tire. You set it down inside the spare tire once you flipped it over. We supply you with the wing nut and all the adapters to tighten it back down. And what this piece does, it's not only an 11-inch subwoofer for the car, it makes the car like a transducer. If you guys remember the old bass shakers from back in the day, it's kind of that concept where it makes you feel the bass, not only hear it, but you feel it throughout the entire car. Now, in the amplified version, it's a 200-watt amplifier, and it comes with a wired remote, which many of you may frown at because you're like, oh, it's a big, bulky remote, but it is all the amplifier controls that are on that remote. I'll tell you one thing that will help you with that is all you guys carry LOCs of some sort, whether you're doing A brand or B brand, and some of those LOCs have bass control knobs that come with them, and they're line drivers. The hub, the amplified hub, just so happens to love 8 to 10 volts of input, which you'll gain dB by using a line driver. Bury the wired remote in the trunk and run the bass control knob that comes with your LOC up front. Problem is solved. You got more output out of the hub. You needed a way to tie into the factory system anyway. In there, it's high level in and low level in. Then you take it a step further and you go to the Stadium Hub. Stadium Hub is a 600-watt RMS passive version. So in a beefier sub inside, so we wanted to make one that would put out a significant amount of more bass than the 200-watt amplified version. So pair it up with a 600-watt club amplifier, and it's a home run, and you'll notice a huge difference. But also on the subject of club, and lastly, think outside the box. It doesn't guarantee that it fits every spare tire. And if you can make it work, make it work. If you need to go to Home Depot and buy a threaded rod because our rod's not long enough, you can make it work. Let's talk about a Mini. A Mini Cooper has no spare tire. You can mount it up against the sidewall in the back of a Mini Cooper and screw right through one of the supports in the hatch and let it sit out in the hatch, and it sounds fantastic. So there are different applications for the hub besides the spare tire. There are some guys out there who have done some really creative stuff with them, but I feel that the hub is definitely something that you need in your arsenal by JBL. So I hope you consider bringing it.
And that was our product expert representing JBL today, Leigh Powell, joining us and giving us a full detailed run through of the current offering from JBL. Now, if you're interested in finding out more details or maybe specifications, I encourage you to check out their official website found at jbl.com. And if you happen to be a Canadian dealer tuning in, then you need to know that JBL in Canada is in fact distributed by the folks at Ericsson Consumer. So do reach out to them for more information. My closing comments and thoughts on JBL are pretty simple. This is a brand that is supported and backed by a monster of an audio company in Harman. Engineering prowess, OEM manufacturing, decades of history, and a recognizable brand that your customers can definitely identify with. Add to that the unique solutions and the good, better, best, and supreme solution offerings that JBL has in every category. Pretty much makes it a very, very strong contender to be a true partner in business to your shop. That's it for this CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM with over 150 channels in your vehicle. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.